From soul pieces to soul peace. From soul pieces to soul peace. From soul pieces to soul peace. From soul pieces to soul peace.
This Latanya, can you shoot a video? A single?
There you go. Just come get my son first. No, have somebody come get my son. He in the house with me. No. Yes. Hey y'all, I just want to say I'm sorry. This is gonna be the last day everybody hear from me, bro. Hey y'all. Just come get my son first. No, have somebody come get my son. He in the house with me. No. Yes. Hey y'all, I just want to say I'm sorry. This is gonna be the last day everybody hear from me, bro. Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Just come get my son first. Just come get my son first. No, have somebody come get my son. He in the house with me. He in the house. No. Yes. Yes. Hey y'all, I just want to say I'm sorry. This is gonna be the last day everybody hear from me. Bro. Just come get my son first. Yeah. Cause y'all have to kill me, bro. Cause I'm gonna shoot at y'all. So y'all might as well finish. I'm not gonna shoot right now. Come get my son first. Matter of fact, just wait until his parents come. Y'all finna have to kill me. I'm not killing myself, bro. Cause I'm ready to go. We done talking. Didn't I just shoot at you? We done talking. Straight up. Come get my son, bro. That's it. Everything after this, we can just get it cracking. Straight up. I've been being played with mentally, all type of shit, bro. I'm not straight, bro. I'm not crazy, but it's a lot of shit I can't take, bro. Just come get my son first. All right, bro. It's already over with. Police all through this bitch. I ain't killing myself, though. That shit over with. All right, come on now. Yo. So, like I said, I'm sorry, bro. I be trying, but shit just don't be good enough. This was my outfit that I wanted to get buried in. Nice little jacket. I know he do, but he got good grandparents. Yo, y'all, Egypt, huh? Shit. Yeah, baby. Egypt here. Come here. Egypt. Bro, it's already over with.
To all of you that are tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in for this segment of Women Speak. The topic today is personal struggle with mental health. And we're going to hear one of our brothers, Corey, talk about his struggle, his recent struggle with mental health and what caused him to be in that place. All right, Corey, it's on you, brother. You're on mute.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is having a good evening. And again, we're not professionals. We're three brothers that are meeting of the minds, Christian brothers that want to have a safe space for men to come and speak. So take that in account when you guys get ready to comment that we're all here in an open space. So what was disturbing about this video? This young man, it's obvious he didn't have any resources. It's obvious he didn't have any safe spaces to go to. Things built up, and he apparently felt like this was the only way that he can resolve this matter. We've all, as men, and I'm sure as women as well, but on this platform as men, have had situations where we didn't even feel comfortable reaching out to our closest brothers, that we felt like what we were dealing with was just one of his own. Like we were the only ones in the world dealing with it. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. I myself dealing with certain things right now. When I started going through them, I actually had encounters with two of my older mentors, and kind of find out they were going through similar things. So we're here to kind of let people know that it's okay and that you're not alone. So my personal struggles, well, my struggles started as a kid, and as a child, I always I overreached. I wanted people to appreciate me, look at things that I do, congratulate me. I didn't get a lot of that growing up. So I started searching for these things throughout my life: approval, accolades, just to be acknowledged. I searched for these things in every facet of my life. And it got to a point where it became so important to me that I was running the people close to me away from me. because I would get so upset that they weren't giving me the attention that I thought I needed, or they weren't giving me the things that I thought I deserved. And I got really upset. Most of it came from my childhood that set the stage for going forward how I am now. Um, didn't come out of a real loving household. The household functioned just to put food on the table and whatnot. I was a really loving kid. I was a hugger. I hugged in school. I hugged female aunties. I was a hugger. Anytime I see females, I will hug them. And when I went into the military, I got married young. I got married at 18. I was expecting certain things, but I was expecting certain things from a broken place. And I was expecting the person that I got with to understand truly and help me put those pieces together. So I went through a marriage, divorce, remarried to the same person, and another divorce. At the end of that, I was mid 20s, still searching for that thing. And went overseas for a couple of years, thought I was growing up, getting myself together. Same thing over there. Everybody that I encountered, I felt this need, this hunger to be approved, appreciated, congratulated, all these things. Um, Came back from overseas, went back into the military. And once again, it was a need, a seek for approval, just something. The military wasn't enough. It was personal. So it became at that point, mid 20s, I started getting a little anxious and angry. And my whole viewpoint and outlook on life started to change a lot. Um, I did join the church, and I was on the youth pastor, the path to become a pastor. And then I went through church hurt, pushed me away from the church. I felt like that was a safe space, went to the church. Things happened, and I backed away because I felt like they didn't understand me, they didn't appreciate me. So didn't go to church for a while. Excuse me. Didn't go to church for a while. Just kind of still wandered through life, still trying to figure out where am I going. Every encounter that I had with someone almost became a bad encounter because I was still searching. To where 2011, right before I met my wife, I hit a wall. I hit a wall trying to figure out who I am, where am I going, how am I going to get there. I was just still in pieces at 27, 28 years old. So went through a little phase, met my spouse, and it's true that someone that is drowning would drown somebody else. No identity. Did time in the military, got out, had to try to find myself again at 30 something. And I felt like I had nothing. I had no money in the bank. I didn't own anything. I was just spinning wheels, no traction, just spinning wheels. Vehicle wasn't going anywhere. And pretty much when I met my wife, I think I put a whole lot of expectations on her plate and then didn't have myself together. So ultimately started drowning my own marriage. Didn't realize, still searching for that same thing. So this young man in the video, there was something that was absent from his life that he felt like this is only resort. And we've all had these dark times to where we've just kind of figured things out. Um, I'm still figuring things out. It's an ongoing process. It's never over. But the good thing is there's another day tomorrow. But this young man doesn't have another day tomorrow. So hopefully the people that are hearing the sound of my voice can actually know that there's a space you can come, put your worries, put your fears, put those dark spaces out there. We can help, you know, nurture you in the right direction, get you some resources, whatnot, because we all need these resources and we all need someone to listen and someone that can actually help. And I feel like this young man really he needed someone to help. Keith.
So talk to us about your struggle with mental health. Talk to us about what put you in that place, and how you came out of it. First of all, let's talk about what put you in that place.
Um, well, overall, from my childhood, just the trauma from my childhood put me in an initial place, something that I didn't heal from until late. And then with the different relationships, not knowing how to navigate emotions, feelings, or dispute resolution, those things ultimately scarred me. And then going to Iraq, that itself, being diagnosed with PTSD, still having flashbacks from time to time, have anxiety, issues every once in a while, more frequent than not. A lot of those things are part of my mental health struggles, and I have fibromyalgia, combat related, fibromyalgia, and also that within itself, on a daily basis, I have to fight that, and on some days it's hard to fight it. It's very powerful, and the depression of that when you've been an athlete for so long, and then this illness kind of robs you on certain days. That's depressing. So those are the things that help, contribute to my mental health issues that I have.
Right. So those are your overall issues. Have you recently just struggled with depression? Just recently? Not too
Um,
long ago?
yeah, it's been more frequently within the last couple of months, but it's something I've dealt with. With my current situation that I'm in right now, it kind of put a little dark cloud over some
Right.
days.
So
Over.
that's what I want. That's what we want to talk about as men. Like, what is it about what took place? You know what I'm saying? Walk us through what took place to put you in that space in reference to your marriage as a husband, in reference to being a father to your kids. What put you in that space?
Well, I
Like,
know after recently, as a separation from my spouse, kind of put me in that situation to where I kind of felt lost. Um, it hurt, being overly aggressive, in my marriage, kind of forced them to go away from me again. Um, my kids not wanting to talk to me, my boys not wanting to talk to me. And I just kind of,
overly aggressive.
right.
Explain that, cause
Well,
explain what you mean over aggressive. Give us some examples how you was over aggressive.
I was controlling. I needed certain things to go a certain way that was safe, that was comfortable for me. And it's not necessarily comfortable for other people. They'll feel controlled. And I was just micromanaging everything, on edge, not really allowing a space where it can just, the family can breathe freely, move freely. And ultimately that'll make anybody want to run away. So just being just too much in your face, like never having a chance to really relax in my own home, um, due to the things that I needed to control. The control was safe for me. So I was compartmentalizing everybody, putting everybody in their space, and that was comfortable for me. But overall, it wasn't conducive for a happy family. And that's something that I never saw coming up. So I became a product of those things. Um, and then also not having anyone that I felt like I can bounce these things off of. Didn't have anybody. I was so shut off and isolated. I didn't have any couples that around us that I can kind of look at how they doing things. I was just shut off from my wife's family, shut off from everything, and ultimately just became a, I don't know, it's just type of person you wouldn't want to be around.
And when you said you tried to become something, I mean, as far as when you grew up, what do you meant by that?
Say again.
Okay, you said that if if I'm quoting you correctly, you said that that was something that you never saw. Was it the structure that you never saw when you was coming up?
Oh yeah,
That you were
never saw.
so
Right, never saw the structure. Never saw. There weren't any successful couples around me coming up as a child. Uh, Everybody around us had broken homes, so didn't really get the love. Didn't get the structure. Didn't get the family. Didn't get any of that. And that was my entire childhood. Never saw any of that.
so give us an example of how you feel like you were being overbearing to your kids or micromanaging your kids and your wife. Just give us an example.
Well, I would come home and pretty much look around, almost like I was looking for something to be out of place. And it wasn't. I wasn't intentionally doing it. It became a habit, and I didn't realize, you can't see the forest from the trees. Sometimes you're so close to something. I thought that I was being the disciplinarian. I thought I was being the structure, when I came home. But ultimately, I was driving everybody crazy, and me thinking that I'm just being a certain posture, and that wasn't the case at all.
Okay. So this caused your family to leave you.
Right.
So once your family left you, what were you thinking? So you because of this you went into a dark place.
Oh yeah.
You went into a state of depression where you ain't want to talk to nobody. You know what I mean? You had all these things going on. So let's talk about that. What happened?
Yeah.
Immediately
Well,
after they left, what happened?
well, after it happened, I was just trying to figure some things out. Uh, Anger set in, resentment initially. I just couldn't figure out why. Um, Thought I was doing everything, good enough to have them around, but didn't realize until probably a month or two after they left and we were conversating that, they were secretly hurting. I was hurting my family because of the things that I was trying to control, the things that I was trying to do. So essentially, I had the blinders on even when it came to them.
Got
I was so stuck in my way of doing everything that I think I kind of forgot about the needs of them.
so they weren't responding in the way that you thought they should respond
Right.
with what you thought you were doing correctly. So in
Right.
that regard, did you feel like you couldn't do nothing right? Or no matter
Yeah.
what you do wasn't good enough? Was you in that space kind of like the guy was saying on the video?
Well, yeah, it felt like the things that I was providing, I felt like those things should have got looked at a certain way, but didn't realize that I was overcompensating for lack of empathy, lack of understanding. I felt like if I'm providing monetarily, that should be good enough, and that wasn't the case. And I'm learning now what I needed as a kid coming up is what I was depriving my family of.
Wow.
I deprived my. It's almost like I was reprojecting what I went through on my family.
But how though? Because it sounds like to me what you were missing was structure and everything, right? Sound
Right.
like to me you what you saw was missing with you. You started to enforce that in your family.
Enforced to the highest power. It's almost
Okay.
like enforcing it, trying to imagine trying to hug a cactus.
Mm,
So
okay.
I missed the mark on so many things. Um, I would try to set things up to where I would be admired or acknowledged in those situations, and then when I would get not get the reaction that I thought I needed or wanted, I would feel a total letdown, and that within itself added to my depression.
Right. Okay. So talk to us about the depression when you went into your depressed state.
Well, initially, it was a huge embarrassment. Um, you know, I've struggled with a lot of things during the course of this marriage. Me and my wife have been separated more than 10 times, and she keeps coming back. She sees some hope and promising me that I couldn't see in myself initially. Um, it was kind of dark. It was embarrassing. I was angry. I didn't know really what to feel initially. I didn't know what to feel, you know. Um, Tried to put on a brave face when I went around, but I was broke down on the inside all the way. I would go pick up my daughter, and spend time with her, but I would just be so just crushed. Over the last several months, me and my wife, we talk, we spend time, we're praying together, we attend church together, we're doing things, we're building. I had to, for one, get to a place where I could recognize my shortcomings. Um, Most of the
Okay.
things
All
that
right. So real quick though, I need you to tell us about your personal struggle when you was in your at your worst moments. What it was like. For instance, I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I sat there for hours and hours in such a depressed state. I didn't want to eat.
oh
Like,
yeah, I lost
so
within the
talk
first
like talk us through
yeah
talk
within
us
the
through that.
first 2 months I lost I lost almost 10 pounds. It was stress weight. It was bad. Um, I wasn't sleeping. Um, just couldn't rock out of this rut. I had like several times that I just took several days a week out of work. Couldn't get my mind focused on anything. Then start spiraling. You have your high days where you kind of feel like a giant. Then you have your low days where you feel lower than the dirt. And then it was tough to rock out of it. You know, and then when you're in that type of space, of course, the devil starts whispering to you, and then he's saying you'll be better off, saying not even being around or nobody care about you. So yeah, you hear things like that. Um, I don't think I had the capabilities of doing anything like that, but the fact that those whispers came in a dark time, it bothered me. It bothered me. I felt helpless, and I had to start, trying to figure out a way to fight back out of that.
So what exactly did your dark days look like?
Well, it was hard to get out of bed. It was, some days I didn't go to work. Um, just laid around, just not much interest in doing anything.
And how did you end up? What was your support system like during that time, and how did you end up getting out of
Well, believe it or not, my support system actually was my wife and my daughter. My daughter is absolutely heaven sent. When I would go get her on Saturdays, she would actually soothe a lot of that. And then I think when me and my wife came to an agreement of we're going to fight for this, that hope and everything kind of outshadowed everything else. And yeah, that kind of helped me start working on myself more. It gave me a jolt of energy. I was already going in that direction, but I guess that more of a purpose field of walk towards that. Um, I think overall, my wife leaving me was the best thing that happened to me because it forced me to start looking at myself. It forced me to start realizing where I was putting all my eggs. And I wasn't putting all my eggs in my basket. I was expecting somebody else to come around, make me happy. I wasn't happy. I never was happy. I've never been a happy person. I didn't realize that until this last separation that I haven't been happy. And now I'm actually able to enjoy myself for myself. I'm actually able to, read my word and actually get something from it because I'm seeking that nourishment from that. I'm actually becoming more of a whole man at this point at 42 years old. I'm becoming a whole man. I was pieces of a man throughout several seasons of my life, and I was pieces of a man when I was married. So I'm actually able now to feel proud of myself,
So
and
you
it's a
saying
daily struggle.
so you saying at that moment, like you saying when you start focusing on yourself, whether you guys y'all still separated, whether you guys um was working on getting back together, reconciling or not, you were in a space where you could just focus on you and your happiness
Right.
and
I had
building
to,
you as Corey as an individual.
right. I was at that point. I figured out that I was allowing other people to control my emotions and my happy, and now I'm taking my own, controlling my own narrative, um, making myself happy, figuring out what makes me happy, figuring out things that I like to do, doing those things, establishing who I am, as Corey in this earth for I think the first time in my whole entire life.
Did we all just fall off?
Nah, just
Yeah.
you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So go ahead, Chancey. What you got anything you want to ask or your
Yeah, yeah.
synopsis of what just happened?
Yeah. So, Corey, you talked earlier about embarrassment. And there's some questions in the chat about embarrassment, about how talk us through the embarrassment piece, as far as from your perspective. How did how did the embarrassment affect you, and also have you now identified what you needed, or if there is something you needed from your wife in that season of your life that you weren't getting?
Yes. The embarrassment, the first part of the embarrassment was personal. You know, I'm being left, you know, you ain't good enough. This is what my voice is telling me. You're not good enough. You can't even hold on to a woman. She keep leaving you. So yeah, initially it was that. Um, and then the embarrassment, from people that know of me and my wife, that kind of can see that she keeps leaving this man. There's a reason she keeps leaving this man. He must be no good. So overall, it was embarrassment from family, personal embarrassment. Yeah, it just didn't feel very good at all.
And then did you identify, what you needed from her in that season of your life?
I identified. I think once she went away initially, and I got past all the emotions, I identified what I needed from her, but I also was able to go back and look at the things that I was receiving from her, but couldn't see because I was in my own way of doing things. Um, there are several things that I actually was wanting her to do that she actually was doing that I couldn't get out of my own way to see. I was so wrapped up in all the things that I had going on that, you know, I don't know, I just wouldn't couldn't see anything. Couldn't see the forest from the trees.
So I
You
think that's
know,
an
the
important.
other thing.
Go ahead, bro.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I think that's an important uh, uh, um, thing to identify right there. What you just said. So I know when I counsel couples, I tell them one thing you have to remember when you're in what I call heated fellowship, is that your spouse is your ally,
Right.
not your enemy. And I tell people, and you got to know how to fight right. There's a way to fight, and I don't mean it, but when you conversate, when you talk about situations, when you're trying to work things out, there's a way to do it. And you got to remember that that person across from you, that's your ally. And we all soldiers, so we know what an ally is. An ally is a foreigner that goes to war with you, somebody that you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but you trust your life with them when y'all going to fight a different enemy. In this situation, we're allies. And so you got to learn how to look at your spouse as that, and not your enemy, because your enemy, I don't care about you. I don't know you. And my key mission is to take you out. And many times when we get, upset, we get, depressed and go through all of our emotions, we handle our spouses as we would our enemy, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to our ally. So at the end of the day, no matter what I'm going through, I have to realize that this person across from me is my ally, and I gotta handle myself accordingly. Because if we don't, then that's when you get into situations where, like what you said, is I couldn't see the things that she was doing to help me, to build me up, to lift me up, to help sustain me during this time, because I was so blinded by my own stuff and what I had going on that I couldn't even see the good that she was doing and she was
Right.
bringing to my life.
And another thing is with allies, there's a common goal that allies come together to try to obtain. And, you know, I had a lot of immaturity coming up. All the situations that I was in from my childhood on up, I didn't heal from those different situations. And I carried a lot of that stuff into my marriage, this current marriage that I'm in. And ultimately, I didn't know how to fight properly. I didn't know how to argue properly. I didn't know how to dispute resolute things. And that was a lot of my immaturity. But now, we're at the point where we're actually meeting of the minds, and we had the same battle plan. We had the same common goal, and we're actually marching towards that together.
You know, one main thing that I want to ask is because you've been abandoned all your life, right?
Right.
And then you enter into a marriage and you put all your blood, sweat, and tears in trying to become the father that you never had, and husband, and create this family that you never, seen, right? There was no God to it, and you did all of this, and then to turn around for your wife to leave you all these many times. How did that feel? Did you still feel like you was being abandoned
Um,
during those times, like just like you were, and they triggered certain things, just like you were when you was a kid?
it initially it felt like abandonment, but then I started looking at a lot of this stuff is my actions. There were certain things that I wasn't able to live up to. So my accountability came from when I actually was able, and I tried every time they came back. I was trying to change some things, but ultimately it was difficult to try to change like everything. You think you're doing some things right, but ultimately I felt like I wasn't meeting certain marks, and that also it kind of gave me a type of running anxiety that after the first couple of times they left and I was changing some things that they just weren't seeing that I was, but then I also was reverting backwards as well. And then I was so hell bent on making things go just like this And overall, that became a whole thing itself. I couldn't get out of this. Like the military trains us into this, and it was hard not to be this structure, this strict, saying posture. It was difficult for me.
So Corey, you identified earlier on that you guys have been separated multiple times. So throughout any of those situations, did you guys ever seek outside help, counseling, whether it been through church, through a practice or whatever? Did you guys seek counseling at any point?
Yeah, we did counseling several times, and you know, it wasn't a counseling. The counseling revealed some things. It's just ultimately coming back into the same environment and certain actions reverting backwards. And that I look at, my lack of just trying to figure things out. I was always in my head too much, trying to push things the way, my agenda on everybody. That was me trying to be the parent that I didn't have coming up, but I was trying to push it down everybody's throat. Like, why won't you get this? Don't you see I'm trying to love you? I'm trying to love you properly. Well, that's what ultimately, I saw. So I felt like I turned out pretty decent. And I felt like I'm going to make them turn out decent. And sometimes what I would do, I would turn their volume off and then it'll be on in my volume. Even with my wife. And my wife, felt that I was treating her like a kid as well. But I was just trying to protect everybody. And that was my way of trying to protect. But ultimately, I had no empathy, no compassion a lot of times.
That's because no empathy and compassion was given to you as you was growing up. So you just became a product of that. And even though you was trying to, show them that you love them and be there for them, um, being that they didn't receive it in the manner that you felt or needed, and you trying to force feed them, you just like, this is what's good for you, instead, and like you said, you lack that compassion and empathy because you didn't know what it looked like. You never received it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All
And
you
then I
knew is
see,
what you didn't have. Right. Good.
and I realized that was actually not just in my marriage. In every situation that I belonged to in life, I was the same as that way. So it affected every situation that I was involved with. So ultimately, that isolated me and made me feel, I don't deal with too many people, kind of isolated from folks, wasn't going to the family gatherings. I kind of pushed myself into this place of isolation to where it's safe for me.
So outside of the support system you feel like you had, did you have any brothers that you can go to and talk about this to help you come out of where you were? Um, did you have moments of meditation to change your outlook on where you were mentally in that space? Because you were
Oh
saying
yeah.
that you was thinking about, not being around and all this stuff.
Oh yeah. I listened to my wife and she gave it to me very candidly, everything. And I had to eat that. I had to digest that. And so with that, I kind of formed a better bond with my dad, my father. I didn't see my childhood. And me and him, been talking a lot more. I got a best friend that I talk to, and I got another buddy I've met in the army that we talk often. But I just been doing a lot of praying, a lot of writing things down, a lot of reflecting. Um, me and my wife have some deep talks now, friendly talks. We're building a friendship, and that is actually helping me, more than anything, building that bond with her is letting me know that someone is not giving up on me. Everybody doesn't have that, but she hasn't given up. And that itself, she can walk clean away, and we can just. But the fact that she's hanging in there with me, that makes somebody want to get it together, and we're both growing together.
So last thing, what advice would you give anyone that's been in your situation that doesn't have those type of their wife or significant other or anyone around them is not supporting them and they don't have that support system? What would you recommend? Because when you was in your situation, you know what I mean, and let's say that they're at that point right now where you were, like, what would you recommend they do besides call the number at the bottom, suicide prevention number?
Well, if it gets to that point, definitely call the number. But if they can reach out to somebody that maybe they see on a regular basis that they can just either have a conversation with, or I started writing. I write poetry and I draw. So I started writing some things down, and the things I was writing down, I would go back and read them, and they started making more sense. I was talking to some buddies; they were giving me some advice, but ultimately, it has to be a personal thing. If you feel like there's something that you're going through personally, you have to understand. I'm hurting. You have to say, I'm hurting. I'm going through this. You have to acknowledge that. And once you acknowledge that, that kind of takes some of the heat off of it. And that way you can address it. You can kind of look at, okay, well, maybe I need to seek some help. Maybe I need to try to get some counseling. Maybe through my job, they can give me some counseling. Or there's, maybe just go to a church and maybe there's somebody there that might feel your spirit or energy and they can actually gravitate towards you and y'all can talk. I think the biggest thing is to talk about it. But if you don't recognize it initially, if you don't recognize what you're going through, then that's the biggest part about why a lot of people sink and they don't recognize I'm going through this. This is why I'm going through this. And they end up just crashing and burning.
Okay, we appreciate you sharing with us, Miss Ingram. It's time for us to take questions now. Do we have any questions out there?
Yes, give me just a moment and I will display those on the screen. So let's see. Here's one. I am putting it on the screen, or do you all want me to read it? There we go.
No, I think that's good, so we can actually, see it.
Okay.
Corey, you see that?
Yeah. So what would you do to change the behavior for future relationships? Well, addressing the issues, for one, personally, you have to address those issues. And then once you address those issues, you have to seek the proper help of trying to get past them. You have to make sure you heal from things before you either go back into a relationship and continue it, or before you get into a new relationship, you have to be, personally, I feel like you have to be over those things.
I think one of the things that you made sure of also was that you had a rule that you guys would stay separated and work on yourselves individually until you got to that healing, part to where you can come back together, opposed to just forcing
Right.
everything back together.
Right.
Next question. Go ahead. Look at the next question.
Was there something specific you needed from your spouse that would have helped? I think the things that my spouse was providing, I just had the blinders on. I think she was actually trying to be supportive, but she also felt like she was in a box. Therefore, didn't feel like I would receive it anyway because I ruled things a certain way. So I think the fact that we're still hanging in there, her resiliency is what is helping me and what has helped. You know, what I'm saying that I can go back and look over the years, and she was very resilient, and I think that helped. You know, just seeing that she was hanging in there, fighting with me.
So what you saying is it was you having to work on yourself because she was providing you what you needed. You just couldn't see it.
I couldn't
Things
see
you
it.
needed and the things you were asking for was actually there, but because it wasn't in the manner and you thought it was should have been or received in, then that's why you couldn't see it.
Yeah, it was almost rejected. It was almost like it didn't even register because um, in my hurt mind and my hurt, space, I needed to look a certain way. And then from my wife's standpoint, she's trying to provide these things from her space, but I was in this hurt space, so it wasn't even reaching up there. I needed to look a certain way, and then I would feel another letdown because I was almost unfairly setting her up, setting my family up.
Next question.
Okay, so there's a comment from YouTube. For some reason, it's not allowing me to show that on the screen, but it just to encourage you guys, it says this is a much needed conversation. And so I'll move on to, and I think this was addressed, but here's the question.
Did you seek any outside professional assistance? Yes, I did. Um, it was personal. Um, I realized that I really needed to. It just couldn't continue the way that it was going. So I immediately, well, after the first month of just hurting and just stuck in the house and just not really feeling, you know, like I wanted to even go outside much, the clarity came and I need to work. I recognized those things and I actually started tackling those things through counseling. And it was personal. I actually sought these things out with an honest approach. I've been a counseling before, but this was an honest approach to I need some help. And when I did it this way, it changed this time. Were there any resources available to you, counseling, Cesar? Yes, I went through counseling initially through my job, um, and through the VA as well. So, at what point in your life did you feel that you were doing everything others' way if you were the controller in the home? So, at what point in your life did you feel that you were doing everything others' way if you were the controller in your home? I don't understand the question, Nikki. Y'all understand that question?
Yeah, I think you touched upon it a little bit, Corey, when you said you were the strict discipline. You were you know so hell bent on how you thought things should be, but then at the same time, you said something. You alluded to something about um oh my goodness. I know the question you're coming from. Maybe she'll be able to better explain what she means, but I know what she's trying to say. I just can't remember what you said to bring you back to that place.
Okay, so what did the worst day look like, and how did you come back from that? Well, on that one night, I was up and I started hearing those whispers like you don't need to be here anymore. Actually, I think the next morning, me and my wife talked and we prayed, and she prayed over me, and I prayed actually that night, and I was up, watching TV and kind of got it off of me, but yeah, it was just I prayed it off, and I was able to turn to her,
So
and
so
she was
you
actually
com-
a rock.
so you communicated to her that you had the thoughts of why you still here. make kind of
Yeah.
like a thought or possible thought of suicide?
Well, I brought it up what I was feeling. I don't think it ever came out as just kill yourself, but it did come out as where the hopelessness of want nobody to care if you're not around anymore. And then that was a
Okay.
sinking dark place. So sometimes it comes real subtle with people, and I think it was subtle and it was trying to creep up. But I don't have the mind space. I don't feel like the mind space like that. I'm too much of a fighter.
Right. Okay. Well, so- okay, last question.
How did this how did this challenge you internally and mentally? Um, well, the fact that me and my wife, the fact that she didn't give up on me, the family didn't give up on me, that challenged me to. I was already addressing my issues, but that challenged me to grab the reins a little tighter and take control over myself, over my personal happiness, over you know my spirit, over everything else. Um, I think I've been kind of flimsy with that over the years, but this whole situation at this point challenged me. And then knowing that I could have been better, and then my wife conveyed the things that I was doing to the family, that challenged me to want to make it right.
Okay. Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate you all for tuning in. We're about to get ready to end the discussion. But before we do, Chances, do you have anything you want to say before I talk about what's to come?
Well, we only have 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you finish it on out because I don't think that's enough time for me to comment on
All right.
anything.
Well, hey, we appreciate all of you for tuning in. I hope we answered your questions. I hope you got something out of this. I was thinking about waiting another 2 weeks to do another segment, but it's been a lot of suicides and there's a lot of mental health things happening, around us and in the world. And I think we kind of need to like be more consistent right now. So if you guys don't mind, y'all okay with getting on next Tuesday? All right, so
Yeah.
we ask you guys to tune in next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're gonna have Chancey to talk about his personal struggle um with with mental health and where he went, you know what I'm saying, and how deep in the hole he ended up and how he came out of it. As you guys see right now, if you feel like you don't have any hope, look at the National Suicide Prevention Line. This is the number down at the bottom. Please, please talk to someone. Please, please call the number. You're not going through it by yourself. There's a lot of us dealing with mental health issues and have thought about suicide. Okay, you're not in this thing alone. Reach out. There's a resource right at the bottom of the screen. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you and God bless. Peace.